Hi there, welcome to the channel. My name's Shane, and I need to rewire a trailer. I believe my dog has gone through the trailer wiring, and I have the floorboards off so that I can refloor it. And I thought maybe this would be a great time to go through the wiring for the brakes and see what the problem was. And let me tell you, there were problems. So this is the trailer brake wire. It goes back to the brakes, back that way. And do you see teeth marks? I do. I think my old dog got into this a few years ago. This trailer hasn't had brakes since I've had it, really. I've not had a vehicle that could utilize trailer brakes until a few years ago when I got my truck. It had a trailer brake controller in it. But for this trailer, the brakes have never worked. You don't see it there, but she chewed through the wires there as well. This is a BigTex trailer, 50 LA, 12-foot tandem axle. The wire feeds through this channel on the side of the trailer bed right here, feeds all the way through, and for the lights and everything goes through. Very well designed for the wiring. It's all enclosed except for where it makes bends. See over there that the wire comes through the tube and then comes out and goes up through grommets into this square channel. It's basically a piece of angle iron that's spot welded in place to protect the wires. So basically the wires run on top of the trailer instead of underneath, which is a good design in my opinion. My opinion doesn't count for much though. So what I'm going to do is try to feed the new wire up through, and I hope you can see this. There are several holes in the bottom of this channel where the wire comes out, and I'm going to try to feed it up through the channel and come out up there, and then feed a little bit more of it back down that way to come out. There's another hole right up in there. This is a Dexter axle on these BigTex trailers like I've got. Yeah, I'm going to be rewiring this bad boy. And there's my two wires connected that I pulled through this channel. And all I did was wire it together and electrical tape it to pull it through the channel. And now I can cut it. Yay, new wire. Wire will go up through that tube right there, all the way through, go through the frame member, come out there, and snake its way over. I am going to put a junction box on the outside right here to do all the wiring instead of having this mess that you see right here. All right, so I ran the trailer wire through the channel that you see coming down the edge of the trailer there. Ran it down through, came up underneath, right in there, fed it through tube, through that hole that's in the frame, and then passed it on through that frame rail there, on around, and we'll hook it up. When I originally took this off, there was a length of this wire hanging down here and zip tied to the U-bolts there, and then it came back up and went on down the channel here all the way down to where it comes out, or where it did come out, right in here. Instead of having a length of wire coming through and having it zip tied, I'm actually going to try to pull it all the way through and not have any coming out right here. I don't have brakes on the front part here. This is just a wheel. The brakes are on the back there. All right, I've got the wires going up to the brake disassembled. Those are the wires going into the actual brake cylinder, or brake drum right there. Those are the wires right here going into the axle and making its way over to the other brake. I've disassembled them. These were the old wires. They had butt connectors and stuff on them. So let's do some testing here of the brakes real quick. All right, so we're going to hook up my multimeter to these brake wires and test resistance. .3 ohms should be right in line with what it's supposed to be. That's for this brake. Since I have the wires going over to the other brake right here, it's very convenient for me to just test it right here. .5. Pretty much in range with what it's supposed to be. Good deal. All right, so to test basically amperage of the brakes, I will use a DC power supply. I have it set for a little over 12 volts, and I went ahead and moved the amperage up to just past 4 amps. I've got it turned off right there, and I'll hook it up and we'll see what we can see. Got it marked, one with the black tape. I don't know if you can see it or not. One with the black tape. It shouldn't matter for brake magnets, but I got it marked. This is the black wire coming from the trailer brake wire, so this is the hot wire. So I will put the black lead there on what would be the white wire. The red lead on what would be the black wire. At least that's what's going to be coming from the truck when I get it hooked up. One of the cool things about this DC power supply is when I switch this on right here, I've got it limited to 12.7 volts on this side, and I've got it limited to just over 5 on this side, or just over 4 on this side. What we're going to be able to see is 12 volt, and then we'll be able to see how many amps are being drawn by the brakes. The range should be between 3.2 and 4 amps. Look at there. It's drawing 3.65, something like that. All right, now I think I've got you repositioned so you can see both the DC power supply and the wheel. All right, I've got the trailer jacked up a little bit, so let's roll forward. And I'm going to turn on the back, turn it on. I can't move it. Switch it off. Move it again. I've got brakes. You don't know how happy that makes me that I've got brakes, at least on the left side. I'll do the same test for the right side and we'll see what happens. So we see that the wheel is turning. Looks like we're drawing 3.3130, somewhere in that neighborhood amps. And that tire is locked. Get my stick, turn it off, make sure the wheel will freeze up. And I am connected over there through the wiring coming out of the other side of the trailer, other side of the axle over there. Back at 0. Get the tire moves. Yay! I've got brakes on both sides. The only problem I had was Chocolate Lab that liked to chew through everything in the world. I'm using these Wago or Vago connectors. Started using these here recently, and I kind of like these things. They're really neat. Apparently they're used in Europe quite a bit. Now, these are very tight in there. They won't move. I do have a Wago gel box coming to where I can put these side by side in a little box enclosure that will make it watertight. So it's kind of neat. Really like how this turned out. You can take these apart, test stuff. Yes, soldering it would be the best route to go. I'm not going to do that right now. I may do that in the future, but for right now, we're going to use these Wago, whatever you call them, these connectors. All right, so I've taken the battery out of the battery box, and you can see here that the positive lead on this battery is gone. So I got to get a new battery. From a wiring standpoint, this is a 7-way plug. Let me think about this for a second. So this is, if you're looking at the plug, I think it's right turn signal, left turn signal, brake, 12-volt battery charge up there. I think this is ground, and this one would be running lights up at the top, and the center post would be accessory panel on a 7-way. I think that's right. It's not. It's not. Some oddities with this cord. You see here, blue wire is cut in this cord. The blue wire actually corresponds with the center pin for the accessory cable, for the accessory wire. So on here, I tested this with a continuity on a multimeter. Center pin is this blue wire. Isn't blue supposed to be for brakes? Well, all the diagrams I've looked at online say typical trailer wiring, so sometimes it can be non-typical, I guess. All right, so I picked this up on Amazon. This is a junction box for the trailer wiring. Will mount right there, I believe, just fine. It's got these nice rubber grommets and cinch down points and that kind of thing. I think it'll work really good to clean up the wiring and make it all pretty. I'll take and I'll chop all of these off, put ring connectors on. Same thing with all the other wiring. I'll put ring connectors on for brake wiring, the light wiring, all of that. So I'm going to take and make this a little bit easier to work on in the future and prettier and just cleaner. And did I get the measurement for it? I did. Sweet. So I'm not going to actually bolt it on just yet because I want the freedom to move it around while I'm bolting everything into here. This part of this cable will feed in through there, hook up. Yeah. So this is the battery charger that went into the battery box down there to try to charge the battery. I don't necessarily trust this, so I ordered a new one. It's got longer wires on it anyway that'll fit into the enclosure that I'm going to put on the side of the trailer. This is a Hopkins battery charger for a trailer. 12-volt, 5-amp charger. It's a little bit smaller. So we'll see if this one works any better. Not that I have ever had this one working at all. I just don't trust it, I don't guess. All right, phase one is complete and tested. Here we go. All nicely set up. One thing I like about this box is it's got these little rubber grommets that come out, and it's got others that can be replaced in the kit that have holes in them. It's kind of neat. It's not exactly watertight, but I think it'll be water resistant enough. And there is strain relief on, or I don't know if you call that strain relief or not, but the where this comes through, it has these little tie down things that keep the cable in there nice and tight. One of the problems I had with the other cable was pulling on it and whatever, the wet connectors would corrode and it would come out, and this will protect the wiring inside. I like it. I'm not sponsored by anybody, but I like this stuff. Now let's get this thing bolted on. You know, it might help if I actually press record on the video camera. As you can see here, I've got it mounted. Still loose for right now, but it's mounted. The cord going up to the truck will be here. Got it all connected up and through there. I've ran all of the corresponding wires that go back into the trailer or over to the battery box into their appropriate places. And I have this wired up to where it's the way it's supposed to be. Blue to the breakaway switch, red to the trailer battery, and black to the vehicle battery. Got all that plumbed in. Well, the blue and the black wires plumbed in the way they're supposed to be. This is not a how-to video on how to wire a trailer. Use a wiring diagram like I have here for my trailer. This is from the BigTex website on the proper wiring for a trailer. Use a wiring diagram or schematic for the proper wiring and color codes and that kind of thing for yours. All right, what I'll do is I'll finish it up. I'll get the grounds hooked up. I'll get the battery box reinstalled, get the battery in, and get everything cleaned up, and I'll bring you back. I've got everything bolted up. It's all tight. Everything's all set up in here. I've got the ground hooked up to the trailer. However, I don't have any of this hooked up to the battery just yet. I want to do some testing before I hook up that battery. So I've got my DC power supply set up, 12 volts on the voltage side and somewhere around 3 amps on the current side, limited on both, limit of 12.67 volts and limited to 3 amps over here on this side. Yeah, there's a glare there, sorry. Negative is hooked up to ground. Red is hooked up to what should be the running lights on the trailer. Let's start the current flowing. 12.6 volts at 1.29 amps. And I have running lights. Running lights are on. Good deal. All right, let's switch it off. We're going to move the alligator clamp over to the next light. This should be the green wire. And according to my handy dandy schematic, the green wire is right turn. So the right light on this trailer should light up. I turn it on. 12 volts, 175 milliamps. Let's go check. Right turn. Illuminated. The next one, this should be left turn. 179 milliamps at 12.6 volts. Left turn is on. Even though my DC power supply can only supply 5 amps, I'm going to test the brakes. Let's see what happens here. I'm going to go all the way up on here on the current side to as many amps as it'll deliver to the max of this power supply, which is 5 amps. Leave it at 12 volts. Let's see what happens. It's pulling 5 amps and 9 point some odd volts. Let's go check the tires. I still got it jacked up. Let's see if it gives a little bit of resistance. That means my wiring is good. All right, next is to replace the battery box and the battery back in there and tidy this installation up. I'll bring you back when all that's done and everything's tidy, and then we'll test it with the truck. Now it's time to actually do the real test. Will the truck detect this thing, and will it operate the brakes? That's the big test for me to see if this thing's actually going to work. So I'm going to hook this thing up to that, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, it's off the ground. All right, I'm hooking it up now. This is the first time in this truck that I have been able to see this lit up. Usually it's grayed out to where I can't do anything. Ha ha, look at there. It works. Yes, it works. All right, test this thing. I'm gonna have to be in the truck, so it requires 2 people. And I'm going to use that little fella right there.
Hi.
He's gonna hold the camera while I get in there and press the button.
Hello.
Stop. Now it's okay. We're gonna have to put the controls in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I have brakes. All right, I think this is done. At least the parts that for this video. I just really wanted to show what I had to do here to get the brakes on this trailer working. I think the wiring is in much better shape than it was. If you like what I've done here, like and subscribe down below. Leave a comment if you see something that I did wrong and need to address. If you like what I did, leave a comment as well. I like reading your comments. I think that does it for this little adventure. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a great day.